What's up everyone, I'm Aaron here at Boardscape, and today we have some new information on the Monster Hunter World board game. Now, I'm going to break this kind of into two segments. The first is going to be about why I am extremely nervous about this game, and the second segment is going to be about this new update that they gave us. So if you want to skip ahead to just the update, go ahead and look at the timestamps. They'll direct you where to go. Make sure to subscribe so that you can get all the Monster Hunter World board game information as it continues to come out, along with other Kickstarter stuff. Now, this is a game that I have been keeping my eyes on for a long time. I have never been a huge fan of the Monster Hunter games. I've played Monster Hunter World, played probably 20 hours into it, and it was okay. I can see why people are drawn into it, but it wasn't for me. But what I like about this game and similar games is this new boss battle genre that has sprung up thanks to Kingdom Death Monster. I mean, you've gotten all sorts of games coming out lately along these lines, between Oathsworn and Aeon's Trespass, down to smaller games like Townfolk Tussle, and even Primal that just recently, today, actually ended on Kickstarter. Monster Hunter World is going along this same vein, this same genre of boss battler. That intrigues me. That keeps me wanting to know more about this game, and I wish I was excited, but I'm not. I'm nervous, because Steamforge Games has a very, very spotty track record. For those of you that don't know, they have had a couple other IPs in the video game world that they translated to board games, including Dark Souls and Horizon Zero Dawn, and even Resident Evil. Dark Souls had, 3.5? I think I have it up here. Yeah. They had over $3.7 million, or euro, 3.7 million euro sold, 31,000 backers. This was one of the most anticipated games of 2018, coming high off the heels of Kingdom Death Monster, with an IP that people love. Everybody wanted this game to be great, and the hype was real, right? Until people got this game into their hands, in which case the game went from extremely hyped to people hating on it, because it turns out this is an extremely mediocre game. And that seems to be Steamforge's MO, is mediocre games. Sure, the boss fights were great, or fun, but everything leading up to them, including the repetitive nature of the game, just was not what a board game needs to be. That aspect does not translate from board games, or from video games, to board games. The same was done with Horizon Zero Dawn. After the debacle of Dark Souls and how mediocre it ended up being after all the hype, people did not back Horizon Zero Dawn like they should have. Or like they would have if a different company did it. Horizon Zero Dawn ended up with 9,800 backers, 1.3 million euro, a third of what Dark Souls had. Sure, the IP is not nearly as popular, but the game looked interesting. This futuristic world of animal robots. The sculpts looked amazing, and they turned out not to be as good as these. Obviously, these looked supreme, and that's what a lot of people wanted, was these miniatures, these models that they have here, and the fact that they didn't even turn out as good as they should have. Man, if you've not watched No Pun Intended's video on Horizon Zero Dawn, I'll have it linked below. Make sure to check that out, because they do the perfect job of explaining everything wrong with this game. Even down to the fact that it's a co-op game that just, you don't play co-op. Like, the design decisions really made me even wonder if the designers even played this game to see if it was any good, or if they just sort of spit something out and said, here you go. It's tough to know. On top of this, they have Bardsung. Bardsung is actually an original IP. It's not based off of a video game like their previous offerings, and it had over 10,000 backers, over €1,000,000. It was a little bit cheaper than some of the other things, and content creators seem to enjoy this. I'm not sure if it was on, if it was available to play on different tabletop platforms, but I watched some playthroughs. I watched some videos of this, and if I'm being honest, this game, Bardsung, seemed like one of the most mediocre dungeon crawlers that I have ever seen. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me on that, but I just didn't get it. I didn't understand what set this game apart from all the others that are coming out. With dungeon crawlers being almost the bread and butter at this point of Kickstarter games, what would make me want to back Bardsung over the plethora of others? Nothing. That's why I didn't. On top of all of that, I think it's important to note that Bardsung's estimated delivery is in the middle of 2022, meaning, as we go back to Monster Hunter World, this game goes on Kickstarter in April. I would not expect to see this until 2023, at least 2 years away. They have to fulfill and finish Bardsung first. I don't know if they have separate teams working on them or not, but either way, a lot of their capital will be tied up with Bardsung until that gets finished. So this looks interesting, but there's a lot of caveats there. On top of all of that, you have Primal just exiting Kickstarter. The late pledge is going to be open later for those that missed it. It's going to be a very different game, but it's also a Monster Hunter type. In fact, the miniatures in that looked amazing. The gameplay looked amazing. The price steered me away. But I did pledge it $1, hoping to be able to maybe pick it up later if I get some extra cash. But actually, I have a 3v3 on Primal, which I have linked above here. Make sure to check that out. Go ahead and click that link, telling you what's good about Primal, what's not good about Primal, in my eyes. And I also, tomorrow, have a video coming out on the aftermath of Primal, how it ended up. Did it end up doing as well as they expected? What kind of stretch goals did we end up with? Was the campaign worthwhile, really? So, be sure to check that out tomorrow. Go ahead and subscribe so you can see that. So with all of that said, I have my eyes on Monster Hunter. I'm not anywhere even close to sold on this game, but this pledge does look interesting, or these pledge layouts look interesting. So let's get into it. What did they tell us about Monster Hunter World, the board game? First of all, they let us know that it will be launching in April of this year. And it's up to a 4-player game. That's expected, but they went ahead and told us. I want to say that this model here looks amazing, and I hope that they look as good as they do here. Dark Souls models looked really well. Horizon Zero Dawn did not. So, hoping this leans a little more towards the Dark Souls side. Now, this is going to be a choose-your-own-adventure type game where there's not necessarily a narrative, but they say there's a 30-hour campaign where you're sort of choosing your own adventure as you go along with it. I'm not really sure how that works out. They don't give much detail there, but be sure to check out future videos as more information comes out. I'm going to be posting about it to keep you informed. This sculpt is actually on the front of the Monster Hunter World board or box, and this sculpt looks very good. Again, a caveat. This is the same as this, and at least from the little bit we can see here, I do not think this mini looks anywhere near as good as this one here, which is expected. I mean, they've doctored this up to no end, right? They've got the red, they've got some green, just sort of playing off of it, making it look cool, but even down to the details, that does not look like what I see here. Anyways, I'm going to have to wait and see once people get this game in their hands, once content providers are able to show us close-ups of these minis and these sculpts, then we'll be able to actually see if they're worthwhile. So they lay out 3 pledges for us. The first pledge is the entry pledge. I like this. This gives you the base box and just enough to play the game. If you want to play through the Monster Hunter World board game, be done with it, move on, this lets you do that for $70. That is not a bad deal, especially when you have something like Kingdom Death that's $400. You have something like Townsfolk Tussle that was over, I think it was $90. Even Primal just got off, and that was $160 for the entry level. Now, you don't get nearly as much content at all as those games, but you do get enough to get a feel of the game, play through it, and see if you actually enjoy it enough to pick up everything else at a later date. That's a good concept. That's one I can get behind. I like this entry-level pledge, and to be honest, I might end up here. This will give you 4 extra-large monsters, as you can see down here, and they have varying sculpts. They have the iguana guy, the little raptor dude, tail man, and box dragon dude. So they're interesting, nothing super special, what I would expect from Monster Hunter the board game. It is important to note though that you get these 4 monsters, and at the extra large level, there's actually 4 levels that we're going to see. We're going to see a large level, the extra large, the XXL, and the Porn Daddy, the XXXL monster. Now, in this entry pledge, you're going to get 600 cards, you're going to get the board, a rulebook, and a quest book. Like I said, the bare minimum to be able to just sort of wet your teeth, see if this is for you, and if it is, you can pick up the rest at a later date. What we can see here, we can see the board, which I'm going to talk about as I go down a little bit. These sculpts look okay. We have four hunters in this base pledge as well, and we know that they are going to be weapons based. There's going to be, I think they said 12 different weapons in this game, and just like the Monster Hunter game, your weapons are going to be your classes pretty much. So I'm not necessarily sure how these hunters are going to play out. There's 4 of them. Are they each going to have 2 or 3 different weapons that they can use or pick from? Are they going to all be able to use all the weapons and they're just sort of there for novelty's sake? We're going to have to wait and see exactly what we get with these hunters and how they interplay. I think that it would be cool. I know that this is a very big card game. If each hunter had a little part of a deck and each weapon had a little part of a deck and you mix them together. So if you're playing the Super Granddaddy Swordman, then it's going to play different than if you put that same sword on this little chick with the bow over here, because her deck is going to be different. I have no idea if that has anything to do with this. It was just a concept that I thought was interesting. On top of that, we have this little image here, which I believe is showing us this monster that's on the board and gives us a little bit of information. It starts with 60 health, some things we can't read, and this little diagram, kid drawing, I believe is showing us where this monster is vulnerable, with the red spots being the most vulnerable in the face and the chest, the back being a little vulnerable, and then like the tail and the hide and the legs not being vulnerable at all. So if that's the case, then I like that. I like the different vulnerabilities just like in the actual game, and I hope that that actually plays up, because then you're going to be fighting each monster differently, which I would hope is the case, being that this is a Monster Hunter game and every monster is going to be different. That's besides the point. The second pledge is the core pledge, and in this you're going to get all of this. You're going to get the base game and the Wildspire game. In the Wildspire, or in this core pledge, you're going to get one extra large monster, 7 extra large monsters, 1 XXL monster, 4 extra hunters, cards galore, double-sided board, 2 double-sided boards, which would be these, and they're double-sided, 2 rulebooks and 2 quest books, plus all unlocks for $140. This is a lot closer to Primal's $160 or $170 entry level, and it makes sense. I mean, you're getting 9 monsters here, 8 hunters, 1,200 cards. It's a lot more like Primal and what they offered. So, like I said, you get unlocks with this. You do not with the entry pledge. That is important. That $70 level does not give you any stretch goals that they unlock. Now, I don't anticipate any monsters to be unlocked, but we're going to have to wait and see. In this core pledge, you get the Ancient Forest over here, which is the same as what we have up here. And then you get the Wildspire Waste. And it looks as though these are individual regions. You have the wastelands and the forest. And if you've played Monster Hunter, you know that there's different regions with different monsters and they play differently and all that jazz. So it looked 2 different regions, basically, is what they're offering here. And this region is going to come with these 4 guys. This looks to be the XXL monster, which is on the cover of Wildspire Waste, as well as some other cool-looking doodads that we're going to have to wait and see. Now let's talk about this board, because it's interesting and ugly. I don't think there's personally anything appealing about the way that these boards look right now. They almost look like... well, I can't really come up with an analogy. They look like garbage. But the interesting thing to talk about for me are the circles, because this is not a hex-based game. They have circles. Now, how that's going to play out, I'm not sure, but I want to know. Like, bro, what's up with these circles? You can see that these characters, your people, are on circles. The monster seems to be centered on a circle. Same with this board over here. Centered on a circle. Your characters are on circles. How is this going to play out? How is it going to be different than grids? Is it going to be a worthwhile change? And why did they make the change? Is it a change just for change's sake? Or is it going to actually serve a real purpose that actually works well with this game? We're going to have to wait and see. I'm hoping that in the next update they actually give us a little bit more about this, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's coming more March or April. After the $140 core pledge, we have the all-in pledge at $280. With this, you get the same stuff you got here, plus a little more. You get the extra large monster, 7 large monsters. That's the same. You get 2 extra large monsters and 1 porn daddy monster. Now, this porn daddy over here, the XXXL monster, is said to be at 350 millimeters, which, if you watch the Cthulhu Death May Die Kickstarter, or you know anything about that, the giant statue that it comes with, this is about half the size of that. And that's a miniature that you're going to be fighting in this game. That intrigues me and almost makes me want to go in with this all-in pledge just to have that on my mantle. Just so I can paint that. Just so that I can say that I have it. Because it's... bro, 350 millimeters. That's almost 3 times the size of the largest monster in Primal. Insane. And not even that. Like, these are also going to be huge. I don't remember the exact diameters. Maybe it's 125. Could be larger. If you remember or know, leave a comment below telling us. So, you get these awesome guys, extra hunters, and extra cards, rule books, all of that. So, back here, these boxes. We have the forest and the wasteland. And then we actually have 3 boxes here that have the 3 monsters that you're going to be getting. So the 2 here are over here. These are the 2, what's it called? Extra large monsters, and it looks as though, numbers wise, they're coming with their own quest book. They're coming with their own rule book, maybe even their own story. I don't really know what a quest book entails at this point, but it looks like you're getting more than just one fight, but an entire lead up to that fight. We'll have to wait and see if that's correct. And then you get the giant guy here, the porn daddy, as well as some extra boxes for the, the extra hunters. I'm not sure really what this other box is going to be. That doesn't appear up here. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I am excited for this game. I want it to be the game that I anticipate it being, but I am not yet sold. I'm going to have all the information as it comes out on this channel. Be sure to subscribe and come back here in April so that we can take a full look at the Kickstarter campaign for Monster Hunter World, the board game. Let me know what you think. Are you excited for this? Are you not? Are you worried? What's your experience with Steamforged games? Let me know these things in the comments, because maybe I've just had bad experiences. If you've had a good experience, let me know. Let me know what you liked about Dark Souls, about Horizon Zero Dawn. Anyways, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like this video, and come back tomorrow for Primal's endgame, just so that we can all see how that turned out. So, as always, thanks for joining me, and game on.